February 14th, 1995. I'm interviewing Michael Galayda, Mike, who is a native of Hastings, and he's going to relate to us his experiences Hastings World War II. Okay, Mike, the first question I'd like to ask you is, where were you and how old were you when the news of Pearl Harbor broke?
I was working on the harbor shore in Yonkers. I was working, as a matter of fact, 4 o'clock to midnight shift.
Mm-hmm.
When I heard about it, then when I went home that night, and I think it was long before that, that was near December, we had that big fire. Remember down in, across the street from Chenard's old garage on Warburton Avenue?
Right.
Yeah.
Right, Warburton Avenue fire.
They had that big fire there.
Right.
Long after that.
Right.
And then I decided after a while, I joined in June. I joined the Navy. Before that, I signed up and they swore me in June the 7th, 42.
Whoa. So you joined the Navy, you didn't get drafted.
I signed up for 6 years. I signed in the regular Navy, yeah.
Great. So now, where were you first, well, when you left Hastings, before you left
I had to go
Hastings?
to New York, yeah. And
Okay.
They sent us up to Newport, Rhode Island for boot camp.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were only there about 3 or 4 months. And even that, everything was rush. And I went down, I went to New York, they sent us, to Pier 92 in New York.
Okay.
That's where I met, by the way, down there, the other Jerry Lampkin, the one I worked in the bank. Remember her husband that died?
Oh, yes.
What was his, her husband, he was a butcher down there.
He was a butcher in New York?
Down at Pier 92. Yeah, he was ship's company there.
Oh, my golly.
Yeah.
And you met him?
I met him, yeah. Because somebody told me to look him up. He was coming up to Hastings there. That's how we met Jerry. And then later on they got married.
Oh, right. Oh, that's
Yeah,
where he was
yeah.
stationed in New York.
Down Pier 92.
He was from the Missouri.
East St. Louis.
East St. Louis.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's my
He
daughter-in-law.
passed away now.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's my daughter-in-law Jean's father.
And then we stayed there on and off for quite a while, for about a couple of months.
In New York.
Normandy wasn't too long after that. When we were there, the Normandy caught fire and sunk. And they used to send us on guard duty over there.
Oh.
They had a catwalk built on it when it was laying over on, I'm trying to think of what side. I think it was the starboard side was down under the water. And they had a catwalk on top. And we used to walk up and down there. And then there was always the Red Cross. Always the Red Cross was there. And the Salvation Army giving you coffee and donuts. But that's why, everybody always argued. The Salvation Army used to give it to you for nothing.
Yeah.
And the Red Cross you had to pay.
Right.
Always.
I heard that. Yes. Yeah.
We used to patrol that. And then they'd take you back, drive you right back to the 92. Until then there was a big ship, an old ship there. They giving you all kinds of gear and some saying, mosquito netting and helmets, spit helmets.
On the ship at the pier?
At the pier, they were ready to go. And the big transport was out there, and we all went on the transport. We didn't know where we were going. We were anchored out in the river. And before, south of the George Washington Bridge, there was a big mooring buoys they tied up to them. This is a Navy transport. It was a big damn thing.
Big ship, huh?
Yeah. And I'm saying to myself, telling the guy, look, I said, I only live up the street there, a couple of miles up the river.
That's right, you could see Hastings.
You couldn't even get off of nothing, And then that's when we went right over to Africa, I think we pulled into Casablanca.
From that transport, you went right to Africa.
Right to Africa. And that was just for transporting us over there. And then we went into Lake Bizerti, and then they let us all off. The Navy personnel had Army personnel on there, everything. And I remember I had to get a tetanus booster when I was on a ship. And man, they gave the Army, you had it from the Army, and they had that gun.
Right.
You bang, you bang. It's automatic, yeah. Well, they banged me good. Next day my arm was like a balloon.
Oh, my.
I couldn't move it. I said, So I must have got some kind of infection from the needle.
Sure. They did so many.
Over it.
Good thing.
They let us off in Bizerti, Lake Bizerti, They had these landing barges there, landing craft tanks, they called them, LCTs.
Now, what are we talking now? We're talking about
The end of 42.
the end of 42.
End of 42.
Okay.
End of 42.
All right.
And they were about 105 foot long. They had 2 diesel engines and 1 generator, diesel generator.
Mm-hmm.
It was a big, back on the stern, you had the pilot house was up in the top, and right below it, that's where we used to, the quarters were for all the men. You had 1 cook, had about 12 guys only on there, and 1 officer.
Oh, a small.
Yes,
small
only
ship.
105 foot long, and they were all, you can put about 12, 14 trucks in there.
No
And they were
kidding.
chained down, and we used to practice with them unloading their tanks, whatever, you know. And then,
Mm-hmm.
then when we went from there, we went, the first time we went, well, we were there though, and you had to be pretty careful all around. There was a big lake, Lake Preservius,
Right.
and the Army had the anti-aircraft guns and the searchlights, and at night the Germans used to come over and bomb.
Oh my
And
God! What a
the
danger!
90 millimeters, the Army used to, you'd see them hit them coming down and everything.
Dangerous spot.
Oh, it was, yeah, but we were lucky.
Yeah.
And because there was a lot of merchant ships anchored out there and everything, so they'd take them off supplies. So the Army in Africa at that time, they just took over. In other words, that was when they had that before. They had the problem with they had to fight the French there. The French opened fire on them when they first come in, and the American ships started giving it back to them, and they quit. Well, they come to from what we heard is that the French quit because the big battle wagons were coming in and really giving it to them.
So they got out of there, huh?
They get out of there, yeah.
How long were you there in Africa?
Well, on and off, about a little better than a year, because then from there we went on the invasion to Sicily, to Licata.
Boy, you really moved.
We had tanks on there, and wasn't too much action for us as far as we know. See, we just hit the beach and they got off, and you can hear the stuff in the planes, the bombing and everything.
Yeah.
And then we'd go, after we unloaded them, after the invasion, then we'd go out to the ships and load up different stuff, supplies, trucks, whatever they had, they lowered down into it, and then we'd take it back into the beach.
Jeepers.
We did that for about 2 days, and they said, well, then we went back to Lake Preservius again. We said, you know, because we didn't know where they're gonna go, you know.
They just moved you around wherever they
Yeah.
needed you.
Where
Yeah.
They needed, well, that was our home port, and while we were in Lake Preservius, then we had a short company there that took care of us, all the repairs. And Buddy Coas from Hastings was there. He was an electrician.
I was going to ask you if you met anyone from home or anyone.
He was an electrician.
Buddy Coas.
He was an electrician on shore there, and he was an expert at on the compass. I looked the name of the new compass when they first came out.
Okay.
I can't even think of it now.
Did you know he was there? Or
Oh yeah, I know. Then I met him and everything. Yeah, he used to come. I used to go up to see him, or he used to come down to see us. Everything was all dungarees. We never had uniforms on. Only when
Oh,
you
very
went to-
informal, huh?
Oh yeah, only when you went. They let you go on livery to the little towns around there, and then you had to wear your whites.
You had to wear the one.
Yeah, you had to wear a white uniform. Yeah.
So that.
Swimming was good there. A big, beautiful freshwater lake it was, you know, coming from the ocean. But
Great.
where we were, and in the Army, there was a lot of fish there. And we used to watch the Army guys. They used to go out fishing. I said, where you guys going? I said, we're going fishing. They got a whole box of hand grenades. And they go out there in the boat, in the rowboats they had, they throw the hand grenades up, and they throw them in the water, boom, and the fish come up dead, and they grab all the fish.
Oh my heaven. That's a different way to fish.
Yeah.
How about that?
So then I forget I forgot the date of the invasion of Sicily. And they were getting ready for the next invasion. Then we went to Salerno on invasion.
You were at the invasion of Sicily?
Yeah.
And then again.
And then when we went back to Africa, and they were getting ready after they secured Sicily, then we loaded up with more different troops and everything, and then we went invasion to Salerno in Italy.
Oof.
And we stayed there. That was a little tougher. We
I'll
stayed
bet.
there for quite a while. We were unloading stuff from the ships
Gee.
out there. You didn't know you had, well, we had all British trucks one time, right-hand drives, and we
Oh.
hit them, we got them off onto the beach, and there's nobody there. There's supposed to be outfits there. They're supposed to be notified, the guys from the port that were supposed to, that's their job, the Army. So where are these guys, the English people, will pick these up? We said, We got to get rid of them.
Oh, gee.
So a bunch of us volunteered. We drove them right in about 3-4 miles to their base. And how'd you just get it? They're driving me. What do you mean? We know how to drive.
You just missed the wrong side of it.
Just on the steering wheel down the other side.
That's great.
Another time, though, we were unloading. We had bombs. We had about 50-pound bombs all over the whole deck.
Oh,
We
my.
hit the beach.
Oh, my gosh.
And the air raid siren went off. There was a lot of air raids there. The German planes used to come and strafe. Yeah, we were talking about the bombs we were carrying.
Yes.
50-pound bombs on the all on the LCT, and they were in like wooden racks.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were coming in, we could hear the air raid siren going off. So the officers started howling to go faster, get in and hit the beach, and everybody off because they were strafing. And we don't want to hit their straight. They hit them just right. So we all run off and joined the army up on the beach. And I said, jump here in the foxhole. But they never hit the ship.
Never hit. This was Salerno you're talking?
Yeah.
That was a big battle, huh?
Yeah.
I want to make sure I don't go.
That was a couple of days after. But at night they used to bomb quite a bit there.
They did.
And we stayed there about 3 or 4 days doing that. Then they same thing. Send you back to Lake Missouri, and then you're waiting there. See what's going on. And then things were pretty quiet because everything was over there now in Sicily and Italy they were fighting. So
right.
They were concentrating over there. So they weren't bothering us. And we'd go all along different parts of the coast. We've seen Bob Hope over there.
Right. Oh, you got to see one of his shows? Wonderful.
One of his shows.
Wonderful. That was in Africa.
As a matter of fact, when we were not there and we had to go out to it, we knew the show was going on that day.
Mm-hmm.
And the landlord, they sent us out to a big ship to bring in supplies, and the supplies were all fresh fruits, oranges, bananas,
Stuff we couldn't get.
pears,
Beautiful.
apples.
Beautiful.
And the word spread when we hit the beach, they were all running from Bob Hope's show down to the beach again.
Get in on the good fruit and stuff.
And then that's when we all went up to see the show then.
Oh, that's
It was
terrific.
good.
Yeah.
I think I met another guy there in Tunisia there.
From Hastings?
No, from Dobbs Ferry.
Oh?
He was a good athlete. I can't think of his name.
Oh, then a local boy. You met somebody local.
He was there. I knew him from Dobbs Ferry.
That's so interesting that you meet somebody from
I can't think of his name.
Now, Mike, when you were, this was all dangerous stuff you were doing. Really, did your family have any idea where you were? I mean, did you get letters?
They knew I was in Africa. That's about it.
Yeah. You got your mail and stuff.
Yeah, but a lot of times you try to tell them, they tell me that the letter was sensitive.
They cut out the stuff, yeah. But they knew that it was. They knew that you were there. They knew you were in Africa, but that's.
Oh yeah, didn't know where we would, because sometimes we'd start moving, other times we'd just stay there, did nothing.
Yeah.
And go ashore anytime you wanted, because they had like a little PX there, you could get beer.
So you could party up a bit, yeah.
1 or 2 cans, that's all you were allowed, because that was to keep them cold.
Yeah.
And that was all from the Army. And then, through Buddy Coas,
Yeah.
they picked up, there was a French seaplane that was wrecked there quite a while ago, at the big pontoon. The thing was about 60 foot.
Hmm.
So they went up and they got from a German truck, a V8 engine out of it, and they put this engine in the pontoon. They made the shaft, the propeller and everything. And they got it running on Lake Missouri. You want to see that damn thing go.
Oh,
That
bet.
thing could fly. Yeah, it was all aluminum. It was about 60 foot long.
No kidding.
These guys put it all together there.
And they let you get on it and stuff and, and ride on it?
Yeah, well, we'd steal the gas from the Army, run it, Sure.
What the heck, the Army could spare it? Well, that's
A lot
super.
of gas there.
Sure, and you were
We had a lot of fun.
You were in between assignments, so you had something you could
The
do.
rumor was going around we were going to leave. We didn't know where we were going after this.
Right.
So back and forth along the coast, and we'd go, I forget all different towns we went up and down the coast until we hit, I think it was in Oran. And we tied there was about like 12, 14 these landing barges, LCTs. They tied them all up, we tied them all up together, and they said, everybody take your gear off. And then that's when the LSTs, they first got them.
Oh.
So then they had the big trains in Oran, North Africa. And they had the LST was loaded, and they had these platforms built on there, like big blocks. And
Right.
they picked that whole thing up, one big monstrous crane, and put it right on top of the LST, the LCT.
Whoa.
So we said, where the hell are we going? Nobody knew where we were going.
No.
wound up in the, I think that was in 40, was it 43? I think in near Christmas time, Southampton, England.
Oh, you went to
All the
England?
way from Africa to England, getting ready for D-Day.
Oh, of
And
course.
we were going up and down the coast. We were all over with these little things, practicing with the Army. A couple of times we were out there before D-Day. You thought it was the real thing, you know.
Yeah.
You go to different ports and you're loading
Yeah.
up the Army. You didn't know where you were going.
Sure.
You figured this is it. D-Day's coming.
But you knew it was coming.
Yeah,
Yes.
we never did. We didn't call it D-Day, the invasion. You know, we didn't know what the heck it was.
No.
And one night out there, there was a big, man, you can see it off in the distance from where we were. So the German planes were attacking them, and quite a few of the ships got hit just on the practice run. They lost a lot of troops and ships and everything.
This was all the
When
action.
the real time they come, you didn't even know. You know, you thought, that's another dry run.
Never realizing that it was the actual thing, huh?
And we hit Omaha, and that's what happened. And that's when we got it. We were going into the beach. We had tanks on. We was maybe about 2 hours, less than 2 hours after the infantry and everybody got
Yeah. Then
And
you,
they had these big steel pilings there with mines on them. But the high tide, it was high tide when we hit, so we didn't have to worry about them. But we were just our luck. We hit one going in, and it blew all, nobody got hurt, but it blew holes in the bottom through the metal on the stern and where the engines are, so we're taking on water.
oh,
And
gee.
when you go into the beach, you used to drop an anchor way off, see?
Right.
Make sure when you're backing off, and then the anchor helps to pull you off. So
Okay.
you can get off.
Right.
And at that time, then, one of our officer, regular officer, he went up somehow. He was up on the top of this little pilot house of the LCT. We tried to tell him, don't go up there. But at that time, I was a gunner's mate, by the way. My rating was a gunner's
Oh,
mate.
you were
I was a
gunner's
first
mate.
class, gunner's mate. It was like a buck sergeant.
Yeah, right, right.
Same equivalent. And we heard the machine guns open up on someplace on land. And all of a sudden, I'm hit. And sure enough, he got hit up there.
He did
So
get
they
hit.
pulled him down. And the PT boat, they signaled the PT boat, and they come alongside, and it was rough. And
Yeah.
they're banging on the side of the steel. The other thing was all steel, and that's wood. Put a couple of dents in them good, and they took him off, the wounded off. They said, we'll bring you another officer.
Yeah.
So within about 20 minutes, so we're just milling around there. And we're taking on water, and the pumps are just about holding our own. You know, the motor maker saying, he said, I don't know how long we're going to stay afloat.
Oh,
We had
jeez.
the Army aboard and everything.
Mm.
And so then they sent another officer, the PT, come back and to take it in and abandon it, to see we hit the beach to get them all off. So finally we went into the beach, and it was quiet in Omaha. There was nothing coming out. No, nobody shooting at you or nothing. And then as soon as they seen us go in, then boats on this other side, it was the same type of LSD and different. They went in.
Yeah.
So then they had about 4 or 5 in the line. That's when the 88s opened up.
Oh,
And then we got hit there.
my
But the
gosh.
Army got off. So we were trying to salvage this thing and try to pull it off, and we couldn't get it off, so they said they got to abandon it.
Leave
So
it.
another one pulled alongside of us, and we hopped onto them, and they took us out.
Everybody got off, though, and everybody...
All our guys, but we had a couple of wounded. I never did find out. We had about 4 or 5 guys that were wounded. So I never did find out what happened to them.
No,
And then
no.
they took us out to a big ship, and they took us to Glasgow, Scotland, I think it was, yeah. And you were all survivors they had there.
In Scotland.
Then there was no uniforms. It was all English base. We used to call them the Livy base. I come home with an English uniform.
You're kidding!
100% wool.
No.
Oh, you used to go nuts with the itch, you know. I come home with a uniform from England.
No,
English Army, yeah. That's all they had. They give you brand new.
because you had nothing.
No, I had nothing.
Everything was
I
gone when you
lost
shipped-
everything. Yeah, all my seed bag, everything was gone.
Oh, my
Yeah.
golly.
Yeah.
So how long after you got to Scotland did you get to go home? I mean, like,
Oh, it was about maybe 1.5, 2 months.
they let you go home?
Yeah.
On a leave?
Yeah, we pulled in, I think it was into Boston.
And what was that now? You're still in 19...
On the, I think it was in 44, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I got the 30-day leave.
Oh, that
And
was
then I had to
good.
report back there. And then, they sent me to Solomon's, Maryland. That was a big amphibious base outside of Norfolk there. A big base. But we were there years ago when we were practicing, when we were on this transport with the land and barges and everything.
In Norfolk?
It's outside of Norfolk, yeah.
Okay.
It goes into the Chesapeake, we're going out to the Chesapeake Bay.
Okay.
And they gave me shore duty there because I had already, and I went through three of them. I said,
I guess so. You deserve to get some break.
But they gave me shore duty. I was in the small arms locker there. I was in charge of the small arms locker. The officers used to come in, they wanted any kind of gun. It was up to me. They signed there to give, I take the serial number of the gun and everything, how much ammunition, whatever. I've never seen any guns come back though.
Oh, they kept
this. Then that's what. See, this all goes back to when I was in boot camp. When I was in boot camp in Newport on KP, there was a first-class bosun mate there in charge. You know, you go for KP duty. You all line up. We're only in the Navy now about a month. You go in the scullery, you go here, you go there, clean the pot, you go clean the spuds, peel the potatoes, peel the onions, whatever, mop the floor, this and that.
Yeah.
And this one boat's man, everybody's going except me. And I'm standing there, so then I'm finally the last guy, so he's first class boat's made a couple of hash marks now. He says, I got your record here, he says. You're from Hastings-on-Hudson, New York, right? I said, yeah, yes, sir. He says, I know where that is. I said, you do? He says, yeah. He says, I'm from Hudson, New York.
Oh.
He said, that's why I kept you here.
Oh, how wonderful.
He says, I got a good job for you. You go around to all the tables in the mess hall and make sure the salt and pepper shakers are filled up.
He's got easy duty.
Yeah. He wants to have it.
You're paid to come from Hastings-on-Hudson.
Right. Now, to go back, when I'm at Solomon's, Maryland, got shore duty, I'm a gunner's mate.
Uh-huh.
I see this guy walking down the street, and he's a chief. I said, that's Paul Kostick. That's the bosun mate that I had in boot camp. I said, hey, chief. Turn on. I know you. He says, I had you in boot camp. I said, that's right, chief. I says, yeah. He says, what are you doing here on the base? I said, I got shore duty here. He said, what do you mean? He said, where were you? So I explained where I was to everything, and I said, what happened to you? He said, oh, they sent us out to the Pacific. He was on the same thing in the Pacific LCTs.
Oh.
He said, then he come back to the States, he made chief over there.
Good.
The chief bosun mate. So he says, now I'm putting the crew together. We got a couple of good officers and a couple of green ones. We don't know who, most of the guys we got, there's about 70 a piece on these, what they used to call these little midgets. 75, tops 80 men.
Uh-huh.
And he says, we got a couple of officers that had combat, maybe about 10 guys that had combat, he says. So he said, you like it here? He says to me. I says, no. I said, I'm tired of it. I was here about a month. I said, I don't like the shore, dude. I want to get on a ship or something. You want to come with me? I said, yeah, I'll go with you.
Is that
join this crew? And I kept asking him, I said, what is an LCS? He said, I don't know what the hell it is myself. He said, they're still building them in Portland, Oregon. I said, I'll go with you. A couple of days later, he comes back. He says, listen, he says, you're a gunner's mate. I said, yeah. He said, we're going to have to change your rate. I said, what do you mean? I said, could you have that done? He said, through the office, I can have it done. Sure, through the captain. He was a Annapolis man, the full lieutenant.
God.
So he had my rate changed to bosun mate then. In them days, it was coxswain. Third class, you were a coxswain when you were third class petty officer. Then you went to bosun mate second class, and then bosun mate first class, and then chief.
Right.
So would that be all? I said, sure. So I went with him. And then this is all about this in the Pacific. When we went to Portland, Oregon, to pick the ship up and everything.
Oh, you went to Oregon from there with him?
From Solomon's, Maryland, by train, yeah, with the crew, and they had to go to school, so I didn't have to go to school because we were in combat already, all of us.
You had experience, yeah.
They were all, we had about 15 maybe guys on the whole thing that were in combat, and some of about 40 officers, the rest were all greenhorns because I hated the...
So you went out then to the Pacific, huh?
Yeah, and Now this book is all the fellow, the radio man on there, John Rooney.
Mighty
That's about
Midget.
Yeah.
That's the LCS.
Right, land and craft support. You see, we had one single 40 millimeter here. There was only a single. Then back here we had two of them, two quads.
I see.
In other words, four on each one of them. There was four 40 millimeters on one gun, four 40 millimeters on the other. And then the operator, the pointer was up there in the tower, and these things could throw up some fire. And up in the front, we had all rockets. And in the back, we had big pumps for any kind of damage, and smoke machines that used to make smoke, because we used to do, when you went to then our duty was once we got out there, off of Okinawa, we went with the destroyers on picket duty, and that's what the whole island. And they have from 1 to 15 stations, and you just go up and down, 4 destroyers, 3 or 4 you, and you got to stop the suicide planes from going into Okinawa while they're fighting for Okinawa.
So you're like sort of on the whole outside of Okinawa?
Way out, 35, 40
looking
miles
for these
out.
planes and shooting them, trying to shoot them down?
Right, before they hit you. And these ships were getting hit left and right. One of them missed us, we were lucky.
Gee, I guess so.
Like that little thing is 185 foot.
This LCS
Landing
82?
craft support. 185 foot long, and like I say, when you're out there, it tells you, and there's in the book, you're always, you're on duty, you're just sleeping by your gun, you're eating sandwiches when you're on the bad spot, where all the suicide planes come in.
You have to be on the alert all the time.
I was in damage control. And then
God, that was a lot of action, Mike.
sometimes you stay there 2 weeks, or until the ship got hit, then you had to help them put their fires out and tow them in. The destroyers, because that's what we did. We got, from one engagement out there, the whole ship got the presidential unit citation, and the captain got a big citation from the Navy. Put their fire out and everything, towed them in, and they used to tow them into Camaretto. That's where we were there the night Ernie Pyle, the reporter, got killed.
No, wait a minute. Back up. I want to hear about this. Where was this now where you were?
This is Iyashima, they used to call it, an island off of Okinawa. All the ships that were hit by the suicide planes, they used to tow them in there.
Right.
And when we were going over, we had even a dry dock going with us to put these ships in to repair them so they can get them back to the States or whatever. But some of them were completely, if you'd seen all the ships in there, you'd say our Navy was all here, that were all hit by suicide planes.
Is that right?
And at the time, until I got back, then I was talking to Mo Angelovich. He's dead, right, Mo?
Mo, yes.
His destroyer got hit by 4 suicide planes, the one he was on, and they were in there, and I didn't know it. It's Camaretto.
He was in there.
He was there. He was an electrician on this destroyer.
From Hastings.
From Hastings.
And you never knew.
He passed away.
Yeah.
But I didn't know his ship was there.
You didn't find that out until after the war?
No, after. Talk with him. Because then later on, I got called back. I went for Korean War. They called me back. I went on a destroyer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But what were you saying before about that area that you were in? You just mentioned the name and I forgot.
Iyashima Island. Yeah.
And this is where Ernie Pyle was.
There was an island there, the Marines, where he got killed there by a sniper. Yeah.
And it was at the time that you were.
We were in there that night. Yeah. And then because there was rumors going around that we had to have patrols out walking up and down on all the ships, because the rumor was going around that the Japs climbed up an anchor chain on one of the ships and they killed about 10 men before they grabbed them, snuck aboard.
Oh.
But we never did find out if it was true.
So you just kept patrolling your ship?
That's it,
yeah. To make.
Like then when they give you a rest sometimes, if it wasn't too much action, they'd send you back into Okinawa where you seen all the ships going in. Well, before that, even way before we first went there, we had to hit the beach and launch the rockets. All the rockets going in, because these rockets we had, they were equivalent to about like an 8-inch gun.
Oh my God.
And these things, thousands of them went shooting off at one, boom, boom, they just keep going, and what a mess they make.
Oh man.
Over there on the beach.
Yeah.
But then they give you what we used to call skunk patrol. You just go up and down off Okinawa, especially at night. Different, all around the island, different ships, like our outfits, these little ships.
And this too.
the skunk patrol, you had to look out for suicide boats.
Oh, jeez.
They had little speedboats, about 18 foot, and they'd load them with TNT in the bow, and they'd try to ram you to blow you up.
Japanese?
The Japs, yeah.
Little boats that would be loaded with
TNT up in the
dynamite.
bow. If they hit you, they blow you up.
Oh, my
And
God.
we sunk two of them one night. The one that missed us, I was in damage control. I had my helmet on and life jacket.
Uh-huh.
I was leaning over the railing because I ain't got nothing to do until there's damage. Then it's my job.
Right.
The bosun mate. I had the stern, the ship, and the chief had the front. At that time, I was bosun mate second class.
Mm-hmm.
But this, I happened to spot it. I said, I could have spit at him.
That close.
I didn't have nothing.
Oh, gee.
But he missed us. It was so dark.
Ooh.
And then you'll see in the book there, a couple of guys jumped off. They thought we got hit. Our guys off the stern, they thought we were going to get hit. They jumped. And they were lucky we picked them up out there. And the other ships were going, and they notified them that we got men overboard.
Yeah.
And they all stayed together. They were lucky that the other ships had to hit them or kill them or the sharks died.
Sure.
But then when we painted them on, if we get a plane, we paint the plane on the little stack up there.
Mm-hmm.
These are little ships. One of the officers, some newspaper reporter, when they were bought there, and he says, "What's that?" I said, "It's my phone." He says, "That's what we call it."
Out there in the Pacific.
I think we were there I was there about 9, 10 months, maybe even more.
All the battles.
Yeah, see, like I say, then we'd patrol doing that, and then you go out on a different picket. That was the bad duty out there. And because we were only, like I say, this thing is only 185 foot long, and I think we had 5 or 6 planes to our credit that we shut down. This ship.
And this little ship
Come
took
up
care of them.
alongside the big ones, the carriers, the small carriers they had there. They couldn't believe it. You see, that this little thing we're taking food from them on the way, and we're taking oil aboard, and they look at the planes they got. So we used to holler up at them, how shore duty up there?
Yeah, right, because these little
And
tiny...
this thing, we went all over the Pacific with this.
And shot down planes and
everything.
And these little suicide... Excuse me.
Skunk patrol.
Oh, the skunk patrol you were talking about?
Called suicides. Then there's sometimes they say you got to make smoke. There's an air raid. They can spot the planes already. These guys out there on the pickets, they're telling them where the planes are, and the fighters go out there to try to get them. Then what the fighters couldn't get, then they had to shoot down before they got into where all the transports were, and the hospital ships were way off by themselves.
Okay.
And so we go there and tell us to make smoke. And you have these big smoke machines. They run on kerosene. We go along the fleet, start them up, and you lay down a smoke screen through the whole fleet.
From this ship that you were on, this LC?
LCS, yeah.
You'd go and you'd make a smoke?
A big smoke screen. And one day the smoke machine caught fire. And I was back there with the motor Mac Callahan. And the damn thing, it wouldn't go out. I said, "Shut it off. It's shut off, Mike." He used to call me Boats. He said, "Boats, it's shut off." And what the hell's making it burn? I said, "They got to see the fire."
That's
the
right.
Planes, So the chief come running back. He said, "What the hell's wrong?" I said, "I don't know, Chief." I said, "We got everything shut off. It's still on fire." He says, "Well, the old man says, get it out. Get the goddamn fire out." He said, "I don't care how you do it. Get the fire out."
Sure.
I said, "All right." So I said to Callahan, I said, "What are you going to do?" He said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "Get one end, you grab the other." And we picked it up and threw it over the side of the stuff.
I took care of this
Threw it off the ship.
Sure, how you can
Fire
put the
went
fire?
out.
Oh, for
So-
heaven's sake.
They say the captain, the chief says, no, that's later on the chief said to me, he says, "How'd you get that fire out?" I said, "You ain't gonna believe it." He says, "What did you tell me?" I said, "We threw it over the side." "Threw it over the side?" I said, "Yeah, it's up, it's metal, right? But the fire out."
What could you do?
We couldn't do nothing.
No.
We couldn't get it out. He says, I got to tell the old man. He used to call the captain, the old man. I said, a couple hours. He come back. He said, the captain says, well, he says, I told him to get that fire out any way he could. He said he did the best he could.
That's right.
He said, we can always get a new machine.
Yeah, could you get it? You could get another one here. Yeah. So that's what those smoke machines were all about. I used to see these in pictures and stuff, Mike, but I had no idea how. That was a real smoke screen.
Oh, yeah.
All
They
around.
used to make some smoke.
Saving the...
You had about 4 different bunch of them, all different sections. You had to watch them so you don't run into one another.
Sure.
All these other ships in there.
Sure. And it really did cover these ships.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Kept the enemy away.
And then they were there for about 2 months or so in North Okinawa. Okinawa was bad. One time they even sent us up the river. I forget the river in Okinawa on this ship. We went up so far we could see bottom, couldn't go because there were flat bottoms. We couldn't go no more.
Oh.
The Marines were on one side and the Japs were on the other side. And we were all up there in general quarters. And then they couldn't turn the ship around. They had to start backing out. I'm saying to myself, everybody's saying, if they got anything here, we're dead. They're
That's
gonna
right.
pull us right up.
That's right.
But we were lucky that nobody, they had nothing.
Damn right, you're lucky. Holy
Yeah.
smokes, surrounded by...
Yeah.
It
was only a narrow little streamway at the end up there to Naha, the capital in Okinawa. And I'm saying, everybody's saying, what the hell are we going to turn around? You turn around? How the hell can you can't even turn around? We had to go
back it out. Back it out. Huh?
They sent us up there to see if anybody would see if we would draw the fire. That's why I said we were the guinea pigs.
Yeah, yeah.
For the Marines. But after a while, when they were secure on it, so then we went back to the Philippines with this thing. I forget the name of the Philippines we went.
After Okinawa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were cutting on, we were all big ships there, everything, repair ships. And you go alongside and they cutting all the stuff off the ship, off of this LCS on the top. Gun racks, ammunition boxes.
Why were they doing that?
That's the reason. I said, what are you doing this for? He says, to lighten ship. He says, what? He says, where's next? Next we're going to hit is Japan, right? So that when you abandon the ship so you can get in close as you can with all this weight off of you. And he said, you guys are expendable. He said, they know right away. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
And that's when then we heard of the surrender. Tacloban, that was the name of the place. Tacloban in the Philippines.
Oh.
And then we heard of the surrender. And then that night, when the Japs surrendered, man, the pyrotechnics, there was about over 1,000 ships there. You want to see a fireworks?
The fireworks must have been incredible.
They broke out the beer,
And you were in the Philippines when this happened?
When this happened, yeah.
So you didn't have to go to Japan?
No, we went with them to the signing. We went to Tokyo. We were there when they signed the peace treaty.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Were you?
Yeah.
Wow, how exciting.
That's where I left the ship in Tokyo. I went back to the States.
Is that right? You went to Tokyo when they did...
I still got the Clumping home that shows our number of the ship that we were in on the Tokyo and the sign of the peace.
Of course, then you had your uniforms on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But then after that, we used to take all the different ships, go alongside them and take them for when they had Shore of Liberty. English ships, everything. Oh, the Englishmen used to get really bombed. They used to lower the net down. They put we're pushing there, throwing their guys in the nets, and they hoist them aboard. They were bombed.
They were celebrating the end of the war. Is that exciting? Oh, you were there for the signing.
Yeah.
God, that's so wonderful. See, Hastings is well represented in World War II.
Then, like I said, then I stayed out for a while. I was in the reserve, and I got called back to Korea. I was on a destroyer.
Is that
I
right?
went over to Korea. We were there overseas for 9 months, and I come back, and on the way back from Pearl Harbor, I got my orders. I'm going to the heavy cruiser to Pittsburgh.
Jeez.
I put that back in the commission. And then when the Pittsburgh was going on a trip around the world, and I had about 3 months to go. So I said they were going to transfer me off. So I went down to see the exec on the Pittsburgh. I said, I'd like to extend just for the trip around the world on the Pittsburgh. He said, I'm sorry. He says, if you want to extend, you got to sign over for 4 more years. I said, no, thank you.
No, you had enough. Yeah.
So I figured they'd put me on the beach.
Yeah.
On land, for 3 months to go. In Norfolk, Virginia, this is. What'd they put me on? the old USS Mississippi, EAG, Experimental Auxiliary Gunnery, #1 in Chesapeake Bay. They had an admiral aboard, chicken. The first thing I come aboard there, the chief's, the quarterdeck and salute, your bag and baggage, are you a fighter? They had all the fleet, the Atlantic Fleet fighting champs on that, on that old battle wagon.
I'll be
And it
darned.
was a boot camp for Marines too.
Oh,
Marines.
my golly.
They were on one end on the stern order. Were they tough with them guys?
Yeah.
Oh, but this thing was, chicken, the admiral. There was an admiral aboard.
How about that?
Oh, you had to be, you couldn't wear dungarees on that. You were undressed blues or dress blues all the time.
That was it, huh?
Oh, stand both made a watch, and you really you really had to be on a ball.
Jeepers. That was an experience, huh?
Oh, I said, let me get into this thing. I figured they'd put me on land.
Yeah.
And then we went into dry dock, so to get off of there, we had to take over transportation. And senior officer, president of float, they take over transportation, the buses.
Yeah.
So I signed up for that, to get off of there, and I got it. And then this one officer said, how'd you get that job? He said, you're supposed to be on a ship. I said, I don't know, sir. I said, here it is. I'm with the chief, so I knew the chief. And I was in charge of guys driving buses. They used to go to all different ships in the dry dock. They were getting repaired, and you had to take them to schools all over.
Oh, okay.
Brand new big buses. They had big international, beautiful buses, And sometimes I'd drive, but most of the time let the other guys drive. We'd just sit in the office and check them out, make sure everything is gassed up, washed. Let them clean them. One day I sent a couple of guys from Brooklyn we had. They were real wackos. I said, take these 3 buses, go down the back there, in the back of the building, and wash them. Get them nice and clean, inside and out. I said, all right. About an hour later, I said, I don't know what made me. I said, I'm going to go take a walk there, see how these guys are doing. The outside of the bus is nice. I hear this banging and the water flow. Well, what the heck? They're inside the bus with hose.
Inside?
Against the dashboard. I said, what are you guys doing? Shut them hoses off.
They cleaned inside them.
We couldn't get them going. We towing them all over. They were all wet. We're towing them all over the yacht until we finally got them going. I said, you wackos, what you supposed to clean them inside and out? What you supposed to do that with a hose inside? Oh, that.
Now, Mike, that was sort of the end of your tour, practically, yeah. But when you came home from the war, after VJ Day and you were there for the signing, I think that's incredible. And then, see, we don't know these things unless we ask.
Yeah, I was in the Tokyo Bay,
Now, when you came back to Hastings after you left, you said from Japan, you came back home, right? So how long did you stay home, when you first, you were home for a while before you went in for Korea. So how were things in Hastings? Did you meet a lot of guys that...
Oh, yeah, you remember the guys that were at home. Oh, when I was in Okinawa, I met Boots Pichkowski.
Oh, is that Boots?
And he was in the Marine Corps. He was over there 3.5 years when I met him. He was like a rag man. He come on the ship. He got a ride over. He was on the LST, going to be going home.
Did he know you were there? Is that
right? He knew the number. See, we used to write. He knew the number. He seen the number, 82, LCS 82.
Oh.
So they brought him aboard, and I said, what do you want? This is now, like I say, this guy's been overseas over 3 years.
Yeah, Boots, yeah.
He was in the Marine Corps. He had 2 45s, one on each side of the hip, and one under the shoulder. I said, give me the guns. Nobody takes the guns. I said, you got to lock them up. He had the Navy, like dungarees, the greens, patches all over. So I said, what'd you get? New uniform or something, the fatigues. He said, they ain't got any.
Is that right? Things were that
what do you want? And I was good cook, buddies with the cook. We used to go out. He says, a shower. So I gave him the soap. I gave him a brand new set of underwear. I said, here, go down this ladder, turn right, there's the shower. He said, I'll find it. Man, he finally said that's the first shower he had. He don't remember when.
Oh, God. He was in Okinawa. Whoa.
Yeah, he was in Okinawa that time. He come off.
With the
But he
Marines.
was all over the Pacific before that.
He saw a lot of
I better
action.
go check on him. I go down to hit a hollow. I look in the enlistment shower, and he's not in there. I said, where the hell is Boots? He's in the officer shower. I said, get the hell out of there. You're in the officer shower. I said, you get caught. I said, I says, I'll get busted. I says, you'll get busted. The hell with him, nobody else. So I'll finish up and then I'll come up. But then he finally finished, nobody caught us.
Good thing.
So I took him to the galley. And me and the cook were like that. Earl Fay Kent from Iowa. And this is a buddy of mine introduced him. He says, so whatever you want. What do you want? Ham and eggs, bacon and eggs. He made them everything.
Oh, God.
Butter we had, fresh bread. They never had nothing.
Gee.
He ate, I think he had about almost 2 dozen eggs, fresh eggs.
He probably...
Bacon,
Oh.
ham that he never had, no. So after about an hour and a half, I said, one of the guys come down. He said, hey, Mike, you better get your buddy. He said, we're going to take off. You got to leave the ship. I said, all right. Oh, the chief come down. He knew where I was. He said, you better get your buddy. He was get him off of you. I said, Boots, we're going to leave. So I said, I don't know where we're going. I said, but the words, they just, he come down to town right there. I said, I'll tell you what. I said, Ken, Earl Fay Ken, we used to call him Ken. I said, Ken, can you fix him up with a bag? He said, what do you mean? I said, I'll fix you up with a bag. Take some eggs, bacon, butter. Were you crazy? He said, they'll kill me for this if I go back with this.
Is that right?
He said, they'll kill me for this.
Oh, Boots said this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Marine.
Yeah.
So then we took off. He got the boat come alongside. We called another little landing boat. They call them LCPs, the small ones.
Yeah.
And they took him back to the LST that he came off of. And then the next day we come back in that night, and then we signal him and call me up in the bridge. He says, the LST is sending us a message. Your buddy, Boots. Boots is saying, goodbye, I'll see you. He was going home.
He was leaving.
He was leaving. That was in Okinawa.
He was in the Pacific all those years, huh?
3 years. Yeah.
Booch,
Yeah.
Brichkowski,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Lived
Bill.
on William Street.
Right.
Bill.
That's the one that died. That's Walter. He got caught back in Korea.
Oh, Walter's his brother.
Yeah, that's his
Now,
brother.
I just saw
Yeah.
Booch not long ago. He came here.
Well, that's his son. That's the professional basketball player.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Booch was isn't that? And you met him out there, huh?
Yeah.
Gee, gods. All right, but when you came back to Hastings, then now he's gone home and you're on the way home, whatever, from Japan. A lot of guys were all being discharged at that time, right?
Yeah.
This is like 45 you're talking, huh?
Well, later.
Later than that?
Because, let me see, I'm trying to think. When I come back, then they sent me to Boston. When I went back to Boston, I was in the Fargo building, and then they put me on a subchase. The war was over, up in Provincetown, Massachusetts, because I was in the Royal Navy.
Oh, you came home from Japan and stayed here just a while in town, and then you were back out again?
Yeah, I went back there. I had to go back to the Navy because I was in the regular Navy. I signed up for 6 years, and already I had 4.5.
Oh, that's right.
And
So how much leave did they give you when you came back from
30
Japan?
days.
Just 30 days,
30
huh?
days. And then they sent me on a subchase up in Provincetown. We used to work with the government, the bombing. They was experimenting with a new heat bomb up there. They had a hull out there.
In
We'd
Providence?
go out maybe once a week. There was about 8 of us on the thing. And 2 officers, and they lived ashore with their wives and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And there was 2 Coast Guard boats. We used to get to know them.
There wasn't too bad duty then.
No, that was good duty. Yeah, we knew all the people in town. In the winter, there's nothing there.
Yeah, it's prettiness.
Yeah. And then we took that out of commission, took it down to Staten Island,
Mm-hmm.
and it's supposed to go to Charleston, South Carolina as a subchase. They're going to put it out of commission. I think it was the 1280, number 1280 on it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all wooden hull, There's a wooden hull, wooden ships and iron men. On them things during the war. And then they put me on the yard tug in Staten Island. I was on the yard tug, and then we took that out down to Charleston later on, South Carolina, put the yard tug out. I was there about 3 months. That was good duty.
And this was like 1946 or so.
45.
45, yeah, the war was over, but you were still in,
It was over at the end, yeah. And then we put that out of commission, and then they were getting rid of a lot of the races. There was too much they had, so that's what I put in for, and I got discharged.
Good.
That was from World War II, and then later on I got called back into Korea.
Okay, but before you went back into Korea, when you were finally discharged from the Navy and came back home, you came back home to Hastings.
Oh, yeah.
You were born here, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I knew you were native.
Yeah.
And so then when you came back, by this time, most of the guys that you knew were back,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they got jobs or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, I started, what's the guy, didn't do nothing for a while.
Did you have were you with the 50, what do they call here?
2250 or something like that?
Well, I have it here, Homefront Hastings,
the unemployment, 5250.
the 5250, yeah,
Yeah.
52 weeks, $50, what was it?
Something like that.
Yeah, I forget myself, I should have gone over this more carefully, but I do know that a lot of guys were on it because they didn't know
Yeah.
what they were gonna do.
Yeah, because I used to go down to the unemployment office in Yakis, and my cousin worked in the office. When he seen me, what are you doing here? He said, I just come back out of service. Oh, I got to take care of my cousin, he said. And he knew, he was in the Navy. And he said, he was in security. And he said, you know, I knew every place you worked.
He knew?
He knew. He used to look my records up in security.
Because he was in security, he could get that.
He said, you know, every place you went, whatever ship you were on, everything, he said, I knew every place where you worked. He said, I know where you were, boy. He said, you went through a lot.
You did indeed.
But, you know, hey, you know, it's like everybody else. You know, you just went, you did your job, you had a job to do, and you
did it.
all. We didn't look for no glory or nothing.
No, you just did what you had to
We
do.
just did what we had to do.
But boy, Mike, your guardian angel was working overtime because you were in some really bad areas and
But
bad
we
battles.
used to, like with that landing barge in Africa, you know, we
Sure.
practice them in Sicily,
Sure.
in Italy. And then we went to France, England, and getting ready for D-Day, we were practicing. The guys used to look at us and said, the guys from the same outfit, that they, you guys still alive?
Yeah,
I said, how about your outfit? He says, 3/4 are dead.
Is that right?
He says, we remember the numbers, the 305. You guys took us in over here, in Sicily. You guys took us over here to Salerno.
Yeah.
I said, now you poor guys are going to go in first here again. They probably said, more than likely.
See
He said,
that?
what's left of us. Yeah.
See that?
But they remember, you know, there's a lot of things, a lot of stuff was funny in
Yeah.
Africa before all this. Like, we used to get to know the Army guys ashore there, around different bases.
Uh-huh.
Talking to one sergeant, see the guys over there got a fire going. I said, what the hell's he doing? Come on over there, I'll show you. They had like a pot. And he's melting stuff, and then he's got a form made. They're making German iron crosses, making them. The German iron cross. They say that. I said, what do you mean? He said, we make them, then we sell them to the Merchant Marine. Tell them we got them from the German prisoners. They were making
They
them.
make a buck.
So he says, here, you want some? He said, we'll give it to you for $1 a piece. You go out there and sell them to the merchant ships for $10 a piece. Genuine German iron cross, $10.
There's always so many people with ingenious ideas. Make a buck, huh?
Yeah,
That's great.
in that old pontoon boat with the motor in it.
Yeah.
When we knew we were leaving, we went. I was with Buddy Coles. We were going out to merchant ships. We were trying to get somebody to take it back. We had one captain was going back to New York. A couple of them. He says, I'd love to do it for you. He said, but I can't. He says, there'd be no problem. He says, because we told him where we live. He said, I know where that is. I know where Hastings-on-Hudson
He could have, if he could have gotten it back, he would have brought
Picked
it.
it right up, put it on, and then we'd take it up to Hastings.
Oh, wouldn't that have been something to have? But he couldn't do it, huh?
Nah, they wouldn't. They were afraid.
Yeah, well,
But like I say, the book tells you everything. That he wrote that down. It's all in there.
right. Now, Buddy Cohas, what was his first name? I know Mike Cohas.
I'm trying to think. Emery.
Emery, because was
He's
it
in
Mike?
Florida.
He's in
He's
Florida
in
now.
Florida, yeah.
But Mike was his brother, right? Mike Cohas? Or no? Wrong one.
No, wrong one.
Wrong family.
Betty, you know the one who was married to Jack Lynch?
Oh,
brother.
that family.
That
okay.
family, yeah.
Okay.
One of
Okay.
his sister was married to Jack Lynch. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sure. He was
Yeah,
from
he
Hastings.
married a girl from Dobbs Ferry.
And he was from Hastings for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Oh, that Cohas. All right.
Yeah.
Gee,
Emery, yeah.
Wouldn't it be great if you could have gotten that pontoon thing?
And I met a couple of guys. I met one Senti somewhere. I'm trying to think.
No.
I
Which?
think that was out in the Pacific, out off Okinawa. Oh, Bob Madden I met in Okinawa.
You met Bob Madden?
Bob Madden, yeah.
Really?
It was LSC.
Oh,
Yeah, we
great.
got bombed together over there. In Okinawa. Yeah, with Bob Madden. Yeah, he's down in Florida, the cop, retired cop.
Now, did he know that you were there, or you knew that he was there?
Yeah, we were.
They found out that
yeah.
Hastings-on-Hudson,
Oh,
huh?
yeah.
Beautiful.
Write letters to one another, different guys we knew. That's how you found these guys. You know?
Yeah. Well, were they
And when I
stationed?
see he was on the LST then. Bob.
Bob, yeah, I think he's
Yeah.
very active in the LST after the war group.
Yeah, you'll see. They have an LCS association, but there was a lot of big problems with it. And the chief says he don't believe in them because they're just looking for publicity.
Oh, really?
He said that's all this guy. The ones that were running it, their ships didn't do nothing. They'd come over there, the war was over already, for now. He said, all they're trying to do it. He said, they're getting free expenses for all these outings that they have. They got your dues paid for their stuff to go check all this out. They're telling you they're checking out the restaurant, the hotels. They're taking all this for their whole family, the expenses. He said, that's a lot of baloney.
Of course it is.
This John Rooney tried to stop him.
Yeah. Yeah. He was, John, what was he, your radio?
He was a radio man,
yeah. That's great. I'd like to read this.
Yeah, it is. It's a good story.
Yeah. I'll give it back to you.
Don't get rid of it, because that's the only copy I got.
Oh, no. I'd like to just read it because
because he wrote that himself. He said that I don't even know if you could buy that any place. He was going to try to put it on the market.
I'll look.
Yeah.
I'll look and see. Maybe I can find it.
Yeah.
Just
but
to
I
have
doubt it.
Yeah.
Because he had to go through all the archives in Washington, through all this problem to get all this stuff, information out of there and everything.
So it took him a while.
Oh, yeah.
That's interesting. Now, the thing is, the war was over, you were out, you were on the 5220 or 5250, whatever it was. I think it was
2150.
$21.50.
$21 a week, 50 weeks.
That's what it was. You're right, that's what it was. And then, I know, because I was in school during the war, but I remember the guys coming home and saying
I think I went to drive I drove the taxi, and then I was driving the school bus. I was driving the school bus first.
You drove the school bus in Hastings?
Yeah, with Happy.
Oh,
Happy and Jack Kane.
After the war?
Then when they got the third one, I used to drive the little old green one, the old green Mac.
Oh, okay, I remember that school bus.
Then I went to the Hastings taxi.
Uh-huh.
I drive them, the Baichi, the one that Baichi took over, I think, when Jack
Baichi
Kane
Edwards,
died.
right, Jack Kane, yep.
Jimmy Ingwe was for a while driving.
That's right.
And then I went up to Anchor Motor Freight, and I stayed there until I retired.
But you didn't go to Anchor Motor Freight until after Korea?
Oh, yeah.
After Korea. And so after World War II, you were back in town and you were doing...
As a matter of fact, when I went to the Navy in 42, when I first went in the Haberdasher, I quit. I went and joined the Navy. A couple of months after I left, and then the company was giving you $500 if you joined the service. I missed out on everything.
2 lasting months, you could have got a couple of...
Listen, I gotta go.
Oh, Mike, I enjoyed it so much. This is a great...
Look at how long. You don't realize when you start talking.
No, I think it's great.
Shout out to Bob, too. He's a good writer. And all that stuff in there is true.